Hey everyone, this video is all about the Wright Map, which is my favorite part of what item response theory, specifically Roche modeling, but you do see these in other IRT models. But this is the coolest thing that it does, in my opinion, because we are putting items and persons on the same scale, which means we can compare them directly to each other. We also, this is known as the Wright Map, so you're going to see item person map, Wright Map, IP map. We're all talking about the same thing. This is found in table 1. Specifically, I like to use figures 1.1 and 1.2. So let's look at what we're actually talking about. This is a Wright map. And so what we do is we have persons in this picture. All of these are representing persons. Sometimes they're represented by number, sometimes they're represented by hashtags. It depends on what table you're using. And then over here we have all of our items. So this scale has quite a few items and they're spread pretty nicely. And over here, these are our logit positions. So we have transferred all of these people to logits. We've transported all of these items into logits, and we're putting them quite literally on the same scale, side by side. So when I've been talking about a ruler, this is quite literally our ruler. And this ruler goes from about 2.1 down to pretty much right at -2. So between -2 and +2 logit positions. When we're looking at persons, if you kind of turn your head sideways and we look at this, persons tend to make up a roughly normal distribution. So we can kind of just pretend like all of these are data, well they are data, and look at the distribution of people. We have a lot of people up here. These would be kind of our outliers that are at the top right up here. And so what we see is that people, assuming that your scale is higher values mean more trait, the people at the top represent more ability or more agreement or more endorsement of the latent trait that you're looking at. Participants at the bottom represent lower amounts of the traits, lower agreement with that variable. And so we can see here, you always locate your 0 first. So where is the 0? And we can see our items are kind of right around the 0. Same here. So here's our 0 down here. And we can see our items are right around the 0. So this sample had lower ability. All of them are way down here, and the items are up here. This sample had lower ability or lower agreement than this sample. So assuming it was the same measure, this sample was much more agreeable. They had more of the trait. They got more correct. These had less correct. Depends on what your scale is. So items we read the same way. Items that are at the top, these are our hardest items. So this is the hardest item for people to endorse. And down here, this is the easiest item for people to endorse or people to get correct or people to agree to. So ideally, again, our ruler is spread really nicely. Here we have a gap, and here we have a gap. And here we have overlap. So these two items are at the same logit position. They're measuring the same amount of the trait. And right here we have overlap. So it'd be ideal if we could get rid of one of these, remove it, and replace it with an item that fit right here. And the same here. Maybe trying to remove this item, write another one that would fit right here. So we have a nice even ruler that goes throughout. So let's look at some examples. So here is our 0. Wherever I went, there we go. Here's our 0. And we can see that items are pretty much right at 0. They're not quite to 1 and -1 for a spread. They're kind of right between half logit positions. So in this case, we have people who are spread really wide, and our rulers are not, our ruler is just really, really little. This is like a pocket-sized ruler, and we need to expand it to be able to measure a whole house. This one's even worse. So here we are not only right at 0, so there's no ruler. 3 of our items and 3 of our items, we're measuring 2 points on the logit position. Everything's overlapping. We basically have 6 items that are measuring the exact same thing. So there's no spread in the items from easy to hard. So here we have a lot more spread. Our items up here go from 3 logit positions all the way down to about 2.5 logit positions. So this is an ideal spread, but we still have large gaps and we still have some overlap. So it'd be ideal, even more, if we could get rid of a few of these items and rewrite things that would fill in some of these gaps. So as you read these, here's a few tips. I like to use figure 1.2, but I actually copy it into Paint and overlap and put in actual item names instead of C1, C2, C3. I don't know what those are. To verify your item names, you can look at figure 1.1 or the logit positions from table 10, and then just look at how you actually put things in. Also, if you take the text file and you change the entire font size to 7, and then you can that will give you the entire IP map on the screen so that you can take a screenshot or use that snipping tool and then pull that figure into Word. There are a lot of different tables beyond figure 1.2 and 1.1. You can check those out here.